Hello, and welcome to part 8 of my campaign starter guide. Now, I'd like to mention at this point that we're drifting a fair bit from progression in the campaign with this video, as we're looking at more mechanics and design techniques. I do feel, however, that this content still adds nicely to a broader demonstration on how to get off to a great start, regardless of how we might use all this knowledge and experience in a fresh playthrough. In this video, we're going to take a look at the dimensions of the Hangarship docking bay and which modules you can efficiently use to create ship sections, which in turn can be merged and separated to meet your industrial and combat needs, while still being able to jump between planets and systems using the Hangarship. These are not going to be optimal designs, just simple form factors to showcase the techniques I use most often at the time of recording in patch 4. So with that said, let's get going. Ha! Orbital camera off. Lovely shot. Alright, that could even be the thumbnail. Okay, let's go. Right, we're going to take a look at what we can get into the Powaaaah for longer jumps before, of course, we get jump gates available to us later on in our progression and in the game. So the Powaaaah 2, the hangar ship that we're provided with in the campaign, has these two big hangar bay doors and these holographic areas that appear below them when a ship is available for docking. I can take out the commander, which I have docked prior to recording, just to show you what we're looking at here. If we take control of that ship, hey presto, zoom out a bit, you can see this hangar space appears before us, and the dimensions of this are listed as 4 across, 4 deep, and 6 long. Now 4 and 6 what wasn't specified on the Discord. I'm guessing it is the width of these Hulk nodes, but I could be wrong on that. But as you can see right now, we have a red box around our combat ship because, funnily enough, at this angle the butt and the nose stick out respectively. So we're going to carefully, we have got an asteroid here beneath us. I really should mine that one away. We're going to carefully drop down a little bit, tilt the ship up so that it fits back within the box. And the objective today is to build a ship in a modular sort of section design that would allow you to easily and cheaply take the sections apart, put them back into the hangar. So you want to get to the point where your ship is within this green, within the box, and the box goes green. If you can't see the colors, I assume the shading, or I hope the shading might at least be clear, but in any case, now when you click dock station, hey presto, our combat ship is tucked away nicely within the HLEV. So, popping back out again, as I said, with those dimensions we've been given to work with, we're going to come over to our refining ship, upon which I have added a second construction tower, tier 2. And we're going to have a go at building a couple of pieces, and I can just show you a very, very simple design, which I haven't, rather stupidly, I haven't tested this all out in advance, so we'll just do it live together. I prefer the kind of improvised, let's see how it kind of goes. Now, the next thing with this is placing these points can be a bit of a challenge. We want it to be close enough that our lasers are going to work and good angles and coverage. Hopefully there we'll get both of them. So I've got this build point, so press B to open build, click on or press the button at the top of the screen, click on add build point, and move this around very carefully, very slowly with the mouse. You can zoom in a little bit, that kind of helps it a bit. Grab the point in the middle and just move it around to where you want it to be. Or you can use these arrows indeed to spin it around. And what we're going to do is add a Hulk node, like so, which hopefully, there we go, lasers turning. One of them's hidden it at least. This one is in the dead zone of it. Well, that's unfortunate. Now, keep in mind that the Hulk nodes themselves are covered in the little thrusters, so this will be maneuverable, and it will be topped up with 500 energy to start with. That said, one of the first things you're going to want to do when you're building any new ship is get some power generation onto there, just to make sure that you don't run out, because if you do and you're moving this thing around, guess what happens? It'll just keep floating off into the distance, or worst case, slam into a ship, something, or an asteroid, something near where you're building. So the first couple of things you want to do on any ship, and we're just going to throw these on just to, as I said, have the basics covered, is you're going to want to add at least one tier 1 solar panel. In this case, I'm just going to throw 2 on. I have harvested up a lot of resources prior to recording, so we should be groovy on that front. And then we're going to add at least 1 thermal radiator, just to make sure that heat build-up isn't going to be a problem, either for stopping the ship in its tracks or indeed attracting alien attention. And yeah, there we go. So that's got some heat dissipation about it. We're going to click on that, and you can see we've got full control of this new one here. It's called Build 1 by default. Over on the overview menu, you can expand that out and we can rename it. Let's call this our core section. There we go. And we're going to build, clearly this will fit within those dimensions we're working to, but we're going to build onto this a bunch of additional Hulk nodes just till we meet those dimensions that were mentioned on the official Starminer Discord, and just see how that looks and how that seems like it's going to fit together. So just add, in this case, if you're following along click by click, we're just going to add on a bunch of Hulk nodes until we have a 4x4x6 arrangement. I'm always going to keep an eye on our heat generation over here and make sure that we have enough. It might be, I haven't done the calculations in advance, it might be sensible if we just throw another one of these thermal radiators on there as well. There we go. Building in progress. I was hoping sincerely that that second laser turret would be of use to us. It looks like I might have to move it. So let's come out of build mode. Right click on, double click on it. Take control of this ship. Right click that. I'm going to disassemble that laser, and I'm going to put it, where's going to give us good coverage? Maybe here? So build on there, on the left hand side from part storage. Oh, it won't fit. It won't fit. It doesn't like going on there because there's too many things blocking the path. Okay, so we're going to put it out here. There we go. We've got green. Okay, we're going to build that from parts. That should be nice and quick. There we go. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need 1 more. We'll move forward a little bit quicker. And we're going to put that in. So 6. I'm just using these basic nodes that will give us more mobility and whatever, but you could be using more or less any other parts, although, well, I say that, again, the dimensions not entirely clear yet, so part of this will be a learning exercise for me too. So then we're going to go with, it's got to have a width of 4, so that's going to make it awkward already, because we can't do 3 like that. Tell you what, which side are we going to build it? We'll go this side, because that's where we've got the lasers. So we're going to do 4 across like that. Getting all sorts of Steam achievements today. So that's our width, and then for our depth, we're going to add 1 more on the top, and we'll add 2 more on the bottom. There we go. I used the shortcut menu this time. And that is our 4 across, 4 deep, and 6 long unit. So once this is finished building, you can see it's going quite quickly with these 2 construction lasers now working. And again, I had taken the time to put all of the resources, get those all refined up on the ship earlier. If you're doing this in creative mode, which is probably the best place to test out different builds and make blueprints from, then have at it. But we're going to just let this build up. And then we're going to fly it across. Oh, and sorry, the next thing, although this will be storing a lot of energy, one of the other things you could probably do just for your minimal starting design is let's add a couple of tier 1 energy batteries just to give us, let's see here, energy battery, there we go, just to give us a little bit of power storage as well. Give us a bit of a buffer. I have no idea how this thing's going to move. It should be interesting. It should be, at the very least, interesting. Okay, and then obviously if you're building your own ship, you'd be using different parts, whatever design you want to go with. And it would be sensible to add things like at least one tier 1 cargo bay. And is that the one for the trade? Let's have a look. I'm trying to remember all the parts right now. Yeah, a small cargo bay I would add on. And yeah, this ship doesn't have a purpose right now. I guess what it was going to become is things like a habitat, put maybe some water storage and stuff like that on it. Again, we're just doing a demonstration of kind of the dimensions and trying to keep things fairly simple right now. So this is our core module. Oh, there's still one more to be built. Let's see if we can bring this up without slamming into anything. Oh, it moves very quickly. Kind of what you'd expect. Just checking with the N that our orientation has stayed the same. No reason why that should change, just adding modules, but you never know. Early access and all. So here we go. We've got our 4x4x6. Again, I'm going by what's written on the official Discord. The response that we got on there. We shall see and learn together how well this works. It could be even that having these spiky things sticking out might be a problem already. Let's learn that together. Okay, so here we go. We have a highly mobile. Oh, let's let it build this last. Get him to build this last little thermal radiator here and the batteries. Let's move forward.
Warning, low energy.
Low energy already, okay. Oh, there we go. And now we're spinning freeform.
Construction completed.
So having all of these things with thrusters already, that's problematic. So yeah, we're gonna need more power generation. That's funny. I kind of didn't see that one coming, even though it's probably fairly obvious this was going to be an issue. Okay, so let's add, see if we can fit any in here facing inwards. Let's put a couple more solar panels. Of course we could put some tier 2s on here, and we could do anything we want really. I'm being a bit silly. Okay, let's add a tier 2 just for the chuckles. Okay, so there we go. Now we've got some better power generation. Hopefully that's going to mean we can move around without using all that energy immediately. Of course, once we turn our dampeners off, then we're going to use a lot less energy as well. All right, let's just spin around.
Low energy.
Oof, that eats all the... Okay, so maybe this is a really bad example demonstration. And what we should do is not use all of these thruster hulks and just use some storage points. Oh my goodness, I've made this monster. All right. So let's see if we can do it. Let's add then some more energy generation. So we'll go build mode and we'll just put a bunch of solar panels. Huh? Go. One over here. Oh, that one. Oh, that one's colliding with the other thing. Okay. All right, there we go. We'll put some down here like a dragon's spine on the back. There we go. This is what I get for doing it live and not having pre-built one.
Construction completed.
Okay, we're going to make it as simple as possible by making it as complex as possible. All right. I didn't foresee. I just did. You can see I haven't really done many of these before, so I didn't really contemplate in advance how much energy drain having all these balls was going to cause. But there you go.
Construction completed.
Okay, now we've got enough energy production to at least break even. So there you go. You have to have balls to fly like me. Okay, so if I turn my dampeners off, then we can move forward without the thrusters, and then we can store up more energy in the battery as we go. Let's go and have a look at how this fits in with the arrangements we've got to work to. Probably will need to move away from the asteroid, you know. We should probably move the panna cotta a bit away from that asteroid just to avoid having any silly little accidents. Okay, there we go. Now we have full batteries and we're close to breaking even on energy. Maybe not quite. Okay, I'm going to move the big ship a little bit away from that asteroid just to avoid both camera glitches and a bit of a whoopsie. Okay, there we go. So let's have a look now at our 4x4x6 and see how this looks to be fitting in over here with our dimensions given. So spin that up there, keeping a bit of an eye on my batteries and whatnot, and my stored energy, just to make sure this isn't going to clang into each other. Terrible design choice, going with the Hulk thrusters. I've learned an important lesson. Okay.
Low energy.
All right, low energy. Just sit still for a moment. And let that store up again. Okay, so what we can see from this is that we're fitting in quite snugly. It works, and if you ask me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you ask me, I feel like I could squeeze the 7th in there, but then again, you know, not with those protrusions where they are. You'd obviously have to move them around. You can also do things like, you know, putting things in diagonally and whatever, depending on, you know, the shape that you've chosen. But let's say this is approximately what we're looking at as a maximum. In my experience, you might be able to squeeze a 7th one on there, unclear. But the key here is adding 1 or 2 isn't going to be your solution to what you need on your ship. If you want a larger build like our refinery ship, you're not going to be able to cut 1 or 2 edges off and get it in there so easily. So what we're going to do instead is working on the basis of these dimensions being you know, accurate enough. Let's see, I just want to show you guys. It does kind of, yeah, the 4x4 part kind of looks like it makes sense. Yeah, you can see there. Okay, so 4x4x6. So, get to the point, Grumbles. What if I have a bigger ship than this? Well, in fact, what we'll do is, if we head back to our refinery ship and build... Oh, hopefully the game doesn't crash. No, okay, it doesn't. I've had extremely low number of crashes. I think 1 ever so far in like 100 hours of gameplay. So fingers crossed for 85 hours. So we're going to go back to our refiner ship and we're going to build something else. It doesn't matter what, just anything. Add another build point. Again, zoom in a bit. We're going to grab that and just move it gently. Very slight movements with the mouse. And move it over here into a bit of space, and then we're going to build, I don't know, what do you think we should add on? Let's obviously start with a Hulk node. Well, not obviously, you wouldn't have to. That's just going to give us some basic mobility. So let's start with a Hulk node, just to have some movement. And again, if you're using part storage, you can use the assemble, disassemble to then build it initially with some power and mobility, and then change it up afterwards to whatever form you want, you know, so you don't have to have these protrusions. In fact, why am I still building it? We've literally just learned that the tier 1s are not really getting the job done. Okay, so let's build a tier 2. There we go. Straight off the bat. And then let's just add a couple more random shapes. In fact, what we could have done is we could have built our little solar energy thing from our blueprint. So we'll build an approximation. What if we built a tier 2 battery on there, storing a lot more energy up, and then we built, say, what if we want this to be a storage arm to our larger vessel? So let's build a what's going to look cool. Let's build a simple slant node off to the side here. On the slant node, we're going to attach a metal storage tier 2, and then let's say another metal storage tier 2, like so. There we go. Now all of these pieces in the research tree you would have had to have had unlocked to be able to build with them, so keep that in mind. And of course, anything that you want to assemble from part storage, you have to have the knowledge of as well. So we've got a couple of metal storage on here, 2,600 tons now. We've got one large battery providing us with some energy, and that's going to become quite the pivotal piece. So if we say here, let's go with what I would recommend is put another battery in place on the center of the ship. So again, this just has to fit into the same dimensions, the same 4x4x6. Let's include, let's say this is for storing ores and things that we're going to process in a refinery. So let's put a medium hanger on there. I'm just throwing random pieces together that are going to be functionally useful in terms of, you know, if this was to attach, if we're building kind of another refinery ship, we want to be able to store some metals up that we're gathering. Maybe we're going to have a mining arm, that kind of thing. And you're going to want to have some energy stored up and some, obviously some energy generation on here. Okay. In addition, we're going to throw on some, let's say, a cargo bay. We're going to throw on a habitat, even if we might not put any people on here yet. We're going to throw on, what have we not got yet on here? We've not got any thermal radiators. So let's make sure we get some thermal radiators on so that we're not going to overheat. Always very important. Never forget your thermal radiators. Don't want those pesky aliens coming in after us. Okay, so we have a cargo bay, we have a habitat, we have space for some ships to be built and a tier 2 hangar. If we wanted to build them now, we'd have to, well, obviously we're near our construction ship, so it would be fine. Let's give this one a name and call this, rename this one. Let's call this a metal stores section. Confirm. Oh, there we go. It's too long, so it's going to be called sec. Let's not have the word sec. That seems weird. Let's go. There we go. Metal stores. Here we go. And again, you can make a blueprint of this one in the build mode. Save as blueprint. And here is, we're going to do a quick check. We're going to move it around. See, so it does move around comfortably, and it's storing up more energy than it can use at the moment. It moves a little bit slowly because it's only got the one Hulk node, so we could either add some boosters or add another Hulk node on, however we want. Now let's show you the kind of key part. I will show you over here. Key part, the exciting bit that we want to get to, is this ship individually. So each individual ship that you put together essentially needs to be able to fit, well, firstly maneuver on its own, And secondly, it needs to be able to fit within the dimensions, the 4x4x6 of the hangar. Those are your two kind of core criteria. We've got to watch here because we it also doesn't slow down very quickly either. So the first thing we'll do, even though again it's obvious, but we're just going to show it for the sake of completeness, is we're going to move over here into the docking hologram area and just demonstrate that this one fits nice and neatly. Again, you can build up to the full space of this, so this 4x4x6, make it as wide and whatever, but you can see that this individual ship happily fits into there. So it has energy generation, it has energy storage, and it has heat dissipation. Those are your kind of important criteria. So if this was going to become part of a model, a larger ship, so we're adding functionality. This is our core, so this could be your habitats, this could be your officer quarters, your bridge, whatever. Well, not your bridge, sorry, because it's not a commander ship, so it can't use the bridge unit yet. Yeah, this would be the core of your ship, so probably here it might be where you put a lot of storage. But having the storage on this arm here could be beneficial, because you could, using this technique, then detach later on, fly over to a local neutral station, trade by selling loads of the stuff from in storage, and then fly back to your refinery ship that's been happily mining and refining elsewhere, or somewhere where you've got defensive ships around it. So here's the key technique that you're going to want to get into using. Nothing that you're too unfamiliar with so far, with one exception. So the way to make your larger ships that wouldn't fit and that won't fit into the hangar is bring them across, line it up, remembering to get the sort of angles and whatever, however you want it to look. So we're going to build this onto as like an arm to this side of the ship. And my advice here is, you don't have to do this, but I'd do it in 2 steps. Dock the ship first, because that will allow you, with the merge is kind of final. So docking the ship allows you to see, okay, that's in the position I want, it's at the angle I want, and so on and so forth. And if you don't like it, then you can undock, adjust the angle of the ship, whatever, turn it around. Maybe you wanted to connect it this way on the side so it can fly off directly. However you wanted it, whatever you like as a form. Remember, this doesn't matter because this ship is not going to dock inside the hangar bay at all once it's merged. Okay, then you're going to merge the stations. This is now one ship. Funnily enough, it takes over the name of whichever ship you were controlling, so it's now, the whole thing is now called Metal Stores, but that's okay. And then we can press N to check where has it put the orientation. Okay, it's facing forward, it's moved it across slightly to the left, and the op is still more or less what I would consider the op. And now we have one ship, a lot more maneuverable, with a lot more energy storage, albeit a lot more consumption of that energy too. And of course, again, just for the sake of completeness, if we move it up towards the hangar ship, we will see there is no way we're going to get that on board. So how do you get around this problem? You've ruined it now. If you need to make a jump to another planet or another solar system, even another system, how are you going to go and do that? Well, the magic is in this one, the tier 2 energy battery. This is my most recommended module for this technique at this time. If you have other suggestions and ideas, let me know in the comments. I'd love to learn with you. But this energy battery here is essentially what we're going to use as a bit of a throwaway. It's pretty cheap to produce, it's pretty cheap to research, and it's easy to therefore rebuild and replace later on. So what you're going to do is you're going to right click on that module, you're going to click on the management tab there, and you're going to click disassemble. So disassemble, not scrap, but disassemble. I suppose it wouldn't actually scratch that. You can scrap it if you have no part storage, and in fact we forgot, I don't think I put part storage on here. Or you can disassemble. If I choose disassemble now because of the lack of part storage, it would give me a jettison prompt and say, where do you want to jettison those pieces of? So in this case, we're just going to scrap it. I did make a mistake there. I should have included part storage into the build, but we'll cover that later on. So we're going to scrap that. And that then creates, you give it a moment, 2 separate ships. So this one has become what's called metal stores _1. So again, we could just expand that and rename that to be our core section again. Like so. And this one is our metal stores that we had originally. We press N just to check. So all the movement orientation is the same, the gimbal. This one, yep, same again. So we got kind of lucky with that one. We're not going to have to do any gimbal shenanigans, but you've seen that in previous videos if you had to. And now we can move this one away. So this is essentially the same piece that we built before, with the one key difference obviously being that we've destroyed one of those tier 2 energy batteries. That's why I put a second one on there, just to make sure we store up some more energy on there. So what you would do when you what you can do now, sorry, is you can take these individual pieces and put them into the hangar bay as we saw before. So this now will fit again, but be careful, proximity alert. There we go. So you see how the bottom tail is hanging out a little bit. So again, these dimensions are a little bit loosey-goosey. We can dock that one station there, like so. We can exit the hangar. Ignore the repeat message. Go back to our metal stores vehicle. Move this one across. There we go. And dock station. So what was put in, merged together to become one bigger ship that wouldn't fit into the hangar space has now been split off into 2 modular ship sections, and each individual section has then been docked aboard the ship. Okay, so and then to reconnect them, if we exit, I could have just pressed undock straight away. Ignore the repeat message. We can say metal stores undock please. And here comes our little metal stores. There he is. Kinda cute. We'll just move him out of the way of the hangar space. Like so. Then we'll go to our core section. Undock that. Here comes our core section. Oops. Taking a bit of a bump off the back of the ship there. That's interesting. That is not what I expected to happen. I guess that's going to have to be fixed in a patch somewhere down the road. But we'll move this one off to the side like that. And hey presto, we have the 2 pieces. So if you imagine that we had docked those 2, taken our hangar ship, gone to the map, jumped to Jupiter or wherever, some other planet or system even, with these 2 docked on board, we would then be undocking these in a brand new location. We would then undock them individually, move them into a sort of safe position, and then what you would do, and this is where I kind of messed up the demonstration a little bit, apologies for that, is you would bring them sort of within range or whatever, and typically what you would do on your core section, your larger, it could be on either, you would have a part storage on board, or in this case we're going to have to build a new one. You would simply, on either piece, it doesn't matter which, just simply add on a spare tier 2 slot a tier 2 energy battery, like so. This can't be built right now because none of these ships have got that capability, unfortunately. And yeah, you would just maneuver your ships. I don't think it will work on the blueprint. Pretty sure it needs the functionality to be online. Yeah, that's like 99.69% sure. I just want to go over there and just show you just in case it does. But yeah, essentially... Oh, no, it does actually allow you to. Okay, dock with station. Oh, well, there you go. I sit corrected. So there you go. You can dock. You can even merge. I'm quite surprised by that. This is energized. Okay, so maybe that was the difference. That blueprint being energized. Now you have your new ship called Metal Stores. Press N just to check your orientation again. We're good. And yeah, reorient your camera maybe to somewhere central on that ship. And here we go. We're able to fly around already. That is fascinating. I hadn't checked, but I didn't expect that to work with only a blueprint. But this is essentially one ship now with all of that. There you go. You can see the 2,600 tons of metal storage. That's from these two containers. So you can see that while we're controlling the whole thing here, it's showing all of the functionality as being connected to that one, to the one ship, even though it's connected by that energy battery. I would not rely on that as being your solution long term. I would imagine they'll patch that out of the game. I'm very surprised by that. I didn't think that was going to work. But there you go, live and learn, eh? So anyway, you've got this tier 2 battery blueprint, which will be built automatically whenever you get in range of one of your construction ships that has resources on board. In fact, we can fly. You can see this flies completely normally now and in control. And because this one has the big battery on it there, that's already functional, we've stored up a whole lot of energy and we don't have to worry about that. I foolishly chose to build this with all these hulks so that it flies horribly. Let's move towards that's our mining ship, that's our drill, there's our refinery ship over there. Let's move towards that and we can get this unit built. Interesting. I really wasn't expecting that to work with the blueprint. Well, that's even cheaper then than the method I'm advocating and suggesting is to disassemble that and put that in part storage. But if this works, I mean, to be honest, it's a little bit jank, and if you get shot at, that's going to fall apart really quickly and so forth. So again, I don't necessarily recommend using the blueprint as a permanent sort of bit of sellotape or whatever. There we go. Now that we're in range, we're going to see... Oh, we've run out of energy. Okay, we really did. I shouldn't have built this with all of these hulks. But there you go. More lessons learned. All right, we're within range of at least one of the lasers. Range and visibility. So it's building up this battery. And there we go. Now we have that piece completely stored up. So all of these solar cells will be starting to fill both of these up. We'll have 13,000 megawatts of stored energy. Fantastic. But yeah, there you go. So that is creating or using could have used, existing ships or whatever, and utilizing basically the core of this technique is using a tier 2 energy battery as the connecting part. The reason you do that is you can't connect anything else on it, and you always therefore have the option in the management section to disassemble or scrap. That's why you can't, for example, use 2 Hulk nodes, which in theory could attach and detach from each other. The problem with that is they see each other as a tier 2 attached to one another. No, actually, if they were exclusively only attached to each other, that would be fine. But as soon as it's attached to another one, like the third in a row, you wouldn't, for example, be able to detach this one because it's attached to that and that. Therefore, it sees multiple tier 2 nodes and will be blocked from detaching, which I can show you. If I right-click on here, go management and go to detach. Can't detach. There are tier 2 modules attached. Okay, it also has the solar panel attached. Maybe this one's a better example. So here, can't detach tier 2 modules. But the only thing attached to that is one Hulk and one Hulk there. But those count as tier 2 modules. So that might change in future for what can and can't detach from each other. But right now, your tier 2 energy battery is the go-to component of choice. So yeah, again, to slightly enhance this build, I would have, or like to save resources over time, I would add a, where is it, tier 1 part storage. Only needs to be a tier 1, 260 tons, and this is only a, well, it's a 70 ton item. But what you do is essentially, because this is one ship, anywhere on here, but typically on the core piece, it's the way I prefer to do it, but it could be on either. Put a part storage in place, and then what that allows you to do outside of build mode would be, again, right click, management, and disassemble, and that will go straight into those parts and create these 2 ships for you. I'm just going to show you that now so you see it in action. So now that we have part storage on board, we can click disassemble on that battery, and those parts are stored in here, and you can therefore in the build mode reassemble. If you bring up the menu, you'll be able to, where is it, energy battery, why is that not showing? Is that because this ship... Oh, because we're controlling this ship at the moment. So I'll just move that one out of the way a little bit. Like that. So go to this ship where it's been stored. Press build. Click on the tier 2 slot. Look for the number 1 here next to the tier 2 energy battery. Click on that number 1. And that's built from storage and only needs energizing. Not any material parts. And build time. So there you go. You see how quick that was. Obviously we had 2 lasers there to energize it. And then you're already close enough to once again dock station. There we go. Check that you're happy with the position and the angle that it's docked at. Click merge station. Boom. And there we go. Hey presto. We have another connected ship. There's modular shipbuilding for you. Modular shipbuilding 101. If you will. Use the tier 2 energy battery. You could use other parts. For example, tier 2 metal storage would have the same functionality. However, it's quite likely that you're going to end up at one or the other point with stuff stored in these. And my experience of disassembling or scrapping something that has a lot of content in it is you're probably going to end up jettisoning stuff. And then you're going to have haulers available or nearby to collect what you've jettisoned or leave it to space debris. Or you're simply just not going to have enough, you know, that's basically what happens when you don't have enough storage space. So in other words, it's more complicated. The easiest thing is an energy battery because, again, pretty cheap to research, pretty cheap to build, easy to disassemble and carry about and have available in part storage, and the only thing you're, in air quotes, throwing away is a whole bunch of energy. 5,000 megawatts stored energy. So as long as you've got energy production available, you know, there's nothing to worry about throwing that 5,000 megawatts. There we go. Hopefully you enjoyed that, found that helpful. Please do let me know in the comments. Hopefully I also didn't go through anything too quickly or whatever. Yeah, let me know. I'm sorry that I forgot to include the part storage in the right kind of... in the initial procedure, but you can see there the possibility to even just use the scrap, and as we learned together, even the blueprint for a bit of a sketchy build. But yeah, there we go. You could, as I said, blueprint each of the sections individually and then build them all. Anywhere you have, you know, a ship with build capabilities. We could have also done this with our little mining ship. So if we'd done a jump, this one has a construction tower on it, has a bunch of resources stored up on it. The only thing you need, or even just the ability to mine, would be enough. You just need something that can essentially provide resources and construction vessels or construction towers. Cool. Good vibes, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this one. Keep the positive energy coming for the series. Hit the old like button and whatnot. And I thank those of you, especially those who choose to subscribe and support the channel. See you in the next one, Starminers. Good vibes.